Just, what's the lesson?
You know, what I would say is, one, Raila was very charismatic and very witty.
Vitendawili, eh?
Yes. That you have to give it to him. You know, he has left behind bangers that will continue to go over and over and beyond. And Raila knew what people wanted to hear. He knew what people needed to have, and he spoke their language. And that is one thing each and every politician or someone who aspires to be in leadership should learn. Go to the people. Don't let the people come to you. And that is one thing that has kept Raila very close to the people. And he would speak his mind, regardless of the consequences. He would speak his mind. And that's why you see him and I like you using Wamalwa with him together, because they were, you know, like arch rivals, you know. And maybe one went beyond the other. And I think if there's an afterlife, they are probably laughing and having a chat and something like that. Wamalwa described Raila in two ways, that we have people who are Raila-phobic and Raila-maniac, you know. And yesterday we saw people who are Raila-maniac. You know, like, you love this guy, you love him with your all. Because if he would speak, he would speak. For instance, if you look at, like, the land question in Mombasa, when Raila would address and would tell the people, like, people want land, give them. What is the problem? So if you are a person who is having that, like the land problem, and here is a person who is saying, watu wanataka shamba, wape mashamba yao, you know, you would be inclined to love this person. And it's not just saying that, he's actually with you people and he's fighting the cause. And when you see when the Constitution of Kenya 2010 came, those were some of the issues that were addressed in the Constitution. The Land Act and all those things.
Evolution.
Yes. This is a man whose word and action go hand in hand. And I remember, let's also talk about the issue of the Mau forest. The current president then said that mvua inatoka kwa mawingu. Haitoki kwa miti. But Raila Odinga said, ni miti inafanya tupate mvua. And he was ready to die for it. He lost the Rift Valley to a great extent, but he did what he was convinced, like a man of conviction. At the end of the day, when we look at the issue of the Mau forest, he was right. And it's a cause he was prepared to die for.
And one would actually argue that he lost the next elections because of the Mau issue.
Exactly.
Because I remember how it was politicized, especially by former Bomet governor, Isaac Ruto, and how it became a big conversation on how this man does not want us to enjoy our land and resources. The entire conversation and resources around it. But years later, you find the next government actually implemented what Raila was pushing. Mau was protected, and we see what those initiatives that Raila was pushing for did not only just to the people of Mau, but to the ecosystem of the country and our water towers. And, you know, like when you sit back and when you just, Okari loves to use this word, when you zoom out and start approaching it slowly, you see the vision that he had, that he saw way back before anyone else. But Raila was ready to lose his friends, was ready to lose his seat for the benefit of
the greater
people of the country.
And exactly, that's what a leader should be. You know, you should not use an opportunity. Like you see, he had a choice back then to move on the other side and say, no, let's go into Mau, do what, so that he can get votes. But you see, that is not what his conscience told him. His conscience told him, this is not the right thing. And he's a politician who would not sit on the fence. He would take a side. And that is one thing, as a people, we should learn. Make a decision, whether it's good or bad. At least have a decision, have a side. Don't sit on the fence to wait and see what will happen
later.
Take
a position, kesi badai.
Yeah, take a position. Kama ni mbaya, watch it. And even in some of his speeches, you would hear him say, kama ni mbaya, wache ikuwe mbaya. And that was it. So there is a lot for us to learn from Raila Odinga, the man. And I think sometimes trying to understand him is quite difficult. Because even in his death, for instance, like yesterday we were just joking and saying that, hey, yani wanapiga baba tear gas hata kama amekufa. Because you see, he's just been on the streets having tear gas and tear gas and tear gas together with his supporters. So we were like, oh, maybe wacha kule ya mwisho kabla hajaenda kwa sababu amezoea. But one thing we should always learn from his life and times is that take a stand, take a position, be a man of conviction. Do not be afraid of the consequences. Whatever it takes, as long as you are convinced that what I'm doing is correct, that is it. When he was prime minister, there are ministers he sacked because he believed they were corrupt.
Including the current president.
The current president. Yeah. Because he was convinced that was the right thing. But then, you know, we politicize the whole thing and whatever. So, for even the young people, the young generation that you see right now, they have a lot of conviction.
And a lot to learn. Let us touch base with Harman Kamariki, who is at the Parliament buildings. Good morning, Harman. How are you doing? What's the situation in Parliament buildings? Anything else changed? Have you managed to be at where Raila Odinga is lying in state, Kamariki?
Thank you so much. I'm getting you live from Parliament here at the Parliament Road. Our other comrades are inside Parliament, but let me just paint a picture of what is happening here in Parliament. It is all about security. It is very tight security. We can see the chase bikes here ready to take off with the body of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to take it to Nyayo Stadium, where the celebration and the state funeral will be conducted today. But here at Parliament, it's all about security, and people are allowed to pass via the road but not go through the Parliament Road, those who are going on with their own business. We have seen about 5 police vehicles who's been here since morning, and police are set to deal with any case of insecurity that can take place around this place. Several vehicles at all the entrances here in Parliament, just to make sure that everything moves swiftly. We were speaking to some of the Kenyans who had been here, and they say they're waiting to just see if Raila Odinga's body is here as they head to Nyayo Stadium. But some of them were told to actually vacate and head to Nyayo Stadium, where they will go to wait for the body there. Just to also let you know is that the body of Raila Odinga has been brought here, and it is inside Parliament. This is where they're going to pay their last respect to the body before it is taken to Nyayo Stadium, where Kenyans will be allowed to listen to our leaders as they speak, as they give the last respect to this amazing and this father of democracy of our country. I wouldn't go into more details, but Parliament is, anytime from now, we're being informed the body will be leaving Parliament to Nyayo Stadium. And it is a plan, and it looks like this is a well-coordinated plan from Lee Funeral Home to here. Remember, we had been informed that the body will be at Nyayo Stadium by yesterday. The procession to Parliament was made a secret by government, and the body came here as early as 6:40 a.m. And that means this is just to try and do away with crowds. If you remember yesterday when the body was supposed to be here, the crowds were too, there was a crowd here that wouldn't allow their body to actually even access Parliament. And I think that is the strategy the government used to make sure that this moves swiftly. And from here, definitely we shall be heading to Nyayo. Several leaders have come in. CSAs and even dignitaries, we have seen them come around this place as well. So we can be, we are on standby. We shall be giving you details of what is happening here, and even as we move to Nyayo Stadium for the state funeral. Thank you.
Kamariki, before I just let you go, so just so we can tell Kenyans for a fact is that they are not allowed to go to Parliament buildings to view the body of Raila Odinga, but that they should head to Nyayo National Stadium. That the process that is taking place at Parliament building is where Raila Odinga spent his time and final respects to the house that he served for a very long time, right?
Yeah, we can confidently say that no civilians are allowed here, and all Kenyans have been informed to move to Nyayo Stadium, where the funeral will be taking place. The only people that are allowed inside these building and even around the Parliament Road are dignitaries and members of parliament, as well as leaders who are CSAs and other leaders. But if you are a civilian, you are actually directed to go to Nyayo Stadium, where the event will be taking place. So anyone who is planning to come to parliament, that is a no, because the security officers we actually had a conversation with, they insist that this is not a civilian event. As of now, it is just to pay last respect to the former Prime Minister, and so we can confidently say that is the scenario right now at Parliament.
Kamariki, we see that there are dignitaries who are lined up there. Is this an indication that President William Ruto will be making way to Parliament buildings?
We might wait to confirm that. We can give you details after we have confirmed that. But looking at the situation here, it is highly possible that the president might be here as well. And we have seen the State House spokesperson walk in. That means there is a high possibility that the president might actually be here. And we are waiting, and we can consult and see if we can get that information and get back to you as we move on. But highly likely that the president might be here anytime from now, looking at the situation and the color of this event right at Parliament here. And remember, these chest bikes were only used by Raila Odinga when he was a Prime Minister, and this is now the second time they are being used in his functions. That means they are giving him the respect he was accorded while he was a Prime Minister as well. And so we are waiting. When the President arrives here, we shall definitely inform you at the studio, and also if we have any other development, we shall get to you as well.
Thank you, Kamariki, for that update. You see, a man who served as Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, those chest bags that you see there are what he used at the time when he served as former Prime Minister, and even at his death, we are giving him the honor, the respect that he was accorded at the time he was Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, a man who continues to wield power even at his death. You know, those are the images that we see both from the Nyayo National Stadium as the preparation continues. The military are lining up themselves, an indication that something is about to happen. The same as Parliament, as you can see, our leaders, they are lining up with an indication that something's about to happen. Whether President William Ruto will be heading there or Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki will be heading there, we are only waiting to see. But it has been confirmed that this is not a civilian affair at the Parliament buildings, that all civilians are planning to be part of today's program should head to the Nyayo National Stadium, and especially on time, because remember, once the president is there, gaining access will be a little bit difficult. So if you are planning to be part of this process, make sure that this is your time to head there before all the dignitaries and Raila Odinga's body makes its way there. Do not go to the Parliament buildings because you will not be granted access. This is information that has been given by security operators to our colleagues who are in Parliament following up on this process, because as you can see, even members of the press have not been allowed inside the Parliament buildings where the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is lying in state. Where the body is at, I'm not sure whether it's lying in state, but it is at the Parliament buildings. Wakili, you see, at the time, after Raila Odinga, his tenure as Prime Minister, and you look at preservation of assets that he had, you know, no one knew that even those chest bags are still there. But these are things that the state has preserved, and clear indication that it was not just any other office that was put there because apparently there was post-election violence in 2007 that he was then declared the Prime Minister, but that it was a significant office that shaped the history of this country and that even today we see the perks that he enjoyed at the time are still being given to him at this time. Just how significant is that?
First of all, you know, as a country, we only had 2 prime ministers.
Yes.
The late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was prime minister before he became president, and then now Raila Odinga. You see, the 2007 disputed election, to date, they always say that there was no clear winner. Even the former ECK chairman, before he died, Kivuti, said that sijui nani alishinda, nilikata kauli mara moja pua na nikatangaza Kibaki mshindi. But from some quarters we've seen on the media, some people actually saying that it is true, Raila won the elections, but we had to engineer some things. Not my words, but their words. They have said on live camera as we saw them. So the creation of this office, for me, I think somehow was also a sign of showing that we can disagree on many things, but we can at least agree on a way forward. Because you tell me, if that office had not been created, then what would have happened next? It would have been chaos. We wouldn't have a country. So you had to create an office of the Prime Minister, and when they share the power, it was supposed to be 50-50.
In consultation with each other. Yes.
Exactly. The President and the Prime Minister. He was given his ministries. The President had his ministries. You remember even Raila, when he used to go to, when he went to the coast at one point, he said, Waziri mkuu anakuja, DC hayuko. Dio hayuko, nusu kapeti, and all those things. And people were laughing. Back to his character, him as a person. He believed what is rightfully on to me and what is right should be done. And that's why he was saying that. It's not that he was complaining. So the creation of that office brought peace here and should be respected. And in case such a thing happens again, it's a precedent that has been set.
Yes. Let's go to the Nyayo National Stadium, where CT, as we call him, Chris Tairu, is our senior political affairs reporter. Good morning, Chris Tairu. You are at the epicenter where the mass, the funeral service will be taking place for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. What's the situation like? Our numbers are growing by the moment, and also security that is there. Tairu.
Well, good morning to you, Dennis Aseto, and our viewers forever they are tuned in. I'm at the Nyayo National Stadium. It is the 3rd day of the national mourning after the death of the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. And today we expect the National Memorial Service, which will be led by President William Ruto, and of course David Odinga, that's Professor David Odinga, who is the Archbishop of Archdiocese of Bondo, and he will be leading the mass here. What is currently happening is that Kenyans are still streaming in to attend this memorial service. Compared with yesterday, today there is some order, and when Kenyans are streaming in or coming or entering to the stadium, they are being vetted, and it is orderly. They are using one line, and so it is more of order compared to yesterday. And right now, there's just the final touches that are happening here, and this will be the main dais where the remains of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will be laying at state, and the others, the band, the Kenya Defence Forces band, they are just preparing just the final touches. On the other end, we have the choir, which also will be expecting them to give us some verses or some songs here and there, just to commemorate the lives and times of the former Prime Minister. And Dennis Aseto, if you'll just allow me with my cameraman Biwot, just to give you just what's happening around here, just the final preparations. These will be the main dais. These are the pall bearers. Remember, that will be the where now the remains of the former Prime Minister, of course, will be laying at state as the function and the service goes on. And I can also confirm that already more than 7 heads of states from the African continent have confirmed the attendance today, and so we'll be expecting, of course, our neighbors here, that is from Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, that is Samia Suluhu from Tanzania, Paul Kagame from Rwanda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni from just here across the border of Busia in Uganda. And of course, in South Africa, we also understand that Cyril Ramaphosa has also confirmed his attendance to this service. And not forgetting one person who was a very close friend to the late former Prime Minister is the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. And remember that during the quest for the AUC seat, he played a big role in campaigning for the former Prime Minister. And he will, of course, be expected to attend this memorial service, even as we expect the final laying to rest, which will be happening on Sunday at his Opoda farm in Siaya, that is in Bondo. And that's just one of the choirs, just getting ready for some songs here and there. And what I can confirm is that also it is a chilly Friday morning here at the stadium, and looks like it's drizzling, but Kenyans here have decided that they are ready to give a befitting send-off to someone who has been in Kenyan politics for long, someone who has been a cabinet secretary, that's a minister, has been a prime minister in this country, and has also tried his quest for the presidency 6 times, and of course the last one being the 2022 presidential elections, which he came second. And we'll be expecting right now, what I understand, my colleague Grace Nganga, she's at Parliament Buildings, and we understand that anytime from now we should be expecting that the remains of the former Prime Minister will be making its way here at Nyayo Stadium, ready for the service to start. And that, of course, will signal the beginning of this service. And we'll also be expecting that President William Ruto, after that arrival of the remains of the former Prime Minister, will be expecting that President William Ruto and other dignitaries will be making their way here at the Nyayo National Stadium. The service is expected to start officially at 9 a.m. And so in the next less than 1.5 hours, of course, the function will be expected to start. I can spot some few dignitaries here and there. That's the main dais. I have seen some cabinet secretaries. I've seen the public service CS, that's Geoffrey Rocco. I've seen some principal secretaries, and that's where the main dais will be. That's where we'll be expecting that the main dignitaries will be sitting also together with the family. And on the other end, we have some Kenyans who are, that's how now the protocol is. From the other end, of course, we have Kenyans who are braving the chilly morning of Friday. Remember, it's also a public holiday, and I know majority of Kenyans who are at home and just following what's happening closely, even as we continue to wait for the service to start officially. And as I said, as I hinted, is that confirmed is that security is also tight, and there is some protocol to being observed compared to yesterday, where we saw a breach of protocol at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and all the way from the JKIA to the expressway, and all the way to Kasarani. And the viewing of the remains of the former Prime Minister happened yesterday at Kasarani, although it started at around 5:30, but the Kenyans or the mourners who are there, they were given quite some time and quite some good time to view the body of the former Prime Minister, and that activity ended at around 8 p.m. And by yesterday, they confirmed that that's the Deputy President, Kithure Kindiki, confirmed that after this service, Kenyans or mourners who have not gotten any opportunity to view the body will have that opportunity starting from around 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. That was the communication, and that after the service. And from there, what we expect after the service and after the morning, the body will be taken to his current home where he has been staying. That's Kerarapon. In Karen for a night vigil, and after tomorrow we'll be expecting that the body will be airlifted to Kisumu, where there is also a similar service there, and Kenyans or mourners in that region of Nyanza will also have an opportunity to view the body of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And from there, the body will be taken to his home in that's Opoda Farm, that is in Siaya County, for the final rites or for the final burial, which will be expected to happen on Sunday. And as the family spokesperson, that's the senator for Siaya, has indicated, only a few Kenyans or a few mourners will be allowed at the home or at the gravesite where the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will be laid to rest. And so, Aseka, that is how it is here at the Nyayo National Stadium. And from any time from now, we should be expecting the body to arrive here for the service to kick off, and of course the dignitaries led by President William Ruto, and we also expect the fourth president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, also to be joining mourners here for this service. Dennis Aseto.
Thank you, Thairu, for that update, as well as for the baptism, Aseka. But let's now go to Daniel Kariuki, who's still at the Nyayo National Stadium, to give us his update. Good morning, Thairu. I've seen that you are at the grounds there, Nyayo National Stadium, preparations at fever pitch, waiting for the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the dignitaries to make their way there. Just from where it is you are, what can you tell us this morning in terms of preparation that is taking place there?
Hi, thank you very much, Dennis Aseto. And just like you have put it, we're here at the Nyayo Stadium, and Thairu has just been giving us a sneak preview of what is happening, and just like he has said, is the final touches. Of course, having written his will and said that he would want to be laid to rest in 72 hours. Then it was rushing. It has been rushing again. It's time to ensure that at least all the protocols, all the military honors that the government said will be honored to, or will be given to Raila Odinga, have been achieved. And so this means that it has been a race against time. And also there has been just some final touches with the place where maybe the family is going to be seated, as Thairu has been taking us through, and also the area where the remains of the casket carrying the remains of former Prime Minister are going to be placed. I want just to take you through the program and what is expected. Remember, the service is going to be conducted by the Anglican Church of Kenya. So definitely we are expecting that the church, the Anglican Church of Kenya, ACK, is going to be leading, and so the Archbishop of the Anglican Church, Olesa Pitt, will be in charge of that program. And just let me just give you a sneak preview of what we expect. Once the body arrives here, it will be escorted by the military personnel, and as it is going to be escorted, there are some of the scriptures are going to be read out by the church. And remember, when the military is doing that, they also have their own clergy that usually do that. So they are going to be having that process or procession having some scriptures being read before the casket carrying the remains of Raila Odinga is taken to its rightful place where the military has set aside. And of course, again, there are some honors that are going to be given to Raila Odinga, the military honors, during that procession. And again, once the casket is taken to where it's supposed to be, again, there are some other honors that are going to be given. Remember, yesterday, the body arrived at the Nyayo State, or rather at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in the morning, there are some military honors that were supposed to be done, but due to the surging numbers at the airport, they were not conducted. So some of them might be conducted here at Nyayo Stadium. And again, as you can see behind me, Kenyans have from all walks of life have already arrived here at the Nyayo Stadium. Well, the numbers are not yet as huge as they were yesterday, but bearing in mind it is still early, we believe that later on maybe the stadium will be full to capacity, and security this time round has been beefed up, and you will see the National Youth Service in collaboration with the General Service Unit, as well as some of the military officers are really taking the security matter very seriously. And today it seems there is some kind of organization that has really helped to ensure that the protocols, or rather the event is going to be happening in the best way possible, without interruptions and without the chaotic scenes that we witnessed yesterday. And the numbers, even if they surge, there's some laid down procedures, laid down ways of how the security is going to be maintained. You can see that the security officers are guarding the stadium all round, ensuring that there are no guys or there are no people who are going to be interfering with what is happening. And of course, the fact that also we are having some final touches here and there at the tent where the family is expected to be seated. Definitely those final touches, they are the security being beefed in such a manner means that it is giving some ample time to the organizers who are finishing up with what is happening. And when you look at the dais where the dignitaries are going to be seated, you realize also security has really been beefed up. There is a way that the security personnel have put up like a line that is going to be protecting the area where guys or other people cannot be able to happen. You will see that kind of a queue there that is guarding that area where the dignitaries are going to be seated. And of course, final touches again at the dais there where the president is expected to lead Kenyans in mourning Raila Odinga and having this funeral service happening here. And the protocol team from State House and Foreign Affairs, the protocol from the Foreign Affairs being also doing their final touches. And from far you will see that crowd, that National Youth Service members are just been given instructions maybe on what more they can do to ensure that security is beefed up. You can see they have been called for a meeting as the organizers, as the government continues to ensure that security is beefed up. They are going to be heading to the area where the dais where the dignitaries and VIPs, VVIPs are going to be seated following this funeral service. and they are going to ensure that it is set. Just like I was giving you just a sneak preview of what the program will look like, and of course, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki yesterday during his daily briefing said that this event is going to take approximately 2 hours. Immediately it starts, it's going to take at least 2 hours. That includes the service, the military honors, and everything else that is expected here in Nyayo Stadium. So definitely we are going to be following keenly to see how things are going to be happening. And right now the body of the late Raila Odinga is in Parliament. So immediately it leaves Parliament, is going to be coming here at Nyayo Stadium, and Kenyans are going to join. You will realize also Kenyans have some white handkerchiefs. You will see as they sing along to the music that has been that is being played here. You realize that they are holding some white handkerchiefs, and others are holding the national flag. That simply tells you that they are here to celebrate a statesman and also a peaceful man, and they are saying it is a day of mourning, and that's the reason they are having the white handkerchiefs and also carrying high the Kenyan flag, because Raila Odinga has been a true definition of a statesman, and not only here in Kenya, but he has flown the flag high in across Africa, across the world, and so definitely they are here to share to celebrate the life and times of Raila Odinga. So in a few, I'm going to be speaking to maybe one or two of them to just hear what they are going to say and how they are going to remember the late Raila Odinga in matters to do with the leadership, matters to do with the governance, matters to do with the politics here in the country. I am going to be speaking to one or two people just to give us a hint, or rather to give us their comments on that. And already the military personnel that is set to ensure that they lead the casket carrying the remains of Raila Odinga. They have already done their drill, and so they're just waiting for it to happen. Right here, Aseto, it has started raining, so definitely we'll have to seek some shelter so that at least we are able to give you more and more coverage. So in a few, Aseto, I am going to be back to give you just a feel of what Kenyans are saying here at Nyayo Stadium. Over to you, Aseto.
Thank you, Kariuki, and sure indeed find a place where you will recover yourself and not be rained on. Asante sana for that splendid coverage and update on what exactly is happening at the Nyayo National Stadium. Those are live images coming to you from the Nyayo National Stadium as the preparation for the arrival of the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, President William Ruto, and other dignitaries, including 7 heads of state from Africa, will be part and parcel of that state funeral for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. We've just been joined by Onchari Oyeye, who is a political analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
I hope it is not because of the rain, but Raila Odinga, you look at preparations that have gone into giving him a befitting send-off, and you look at leaders from across the board, including those that they were always on the other side of the fence with, but everyone has come together, converged to speak of a man who is a statesman. What would you make of Raila's death and what we see today in terms of a united country?
Thank you so much, and well, it's not because of the rain, but traffic. That's why I showed up late, so I apologize. Well, Raila is a man that even people who are against him, political of course, appreciated in so many ways and for so many reasons. He's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of figure. He has traversed the breadth and width of this country like a colossus. He's been around for 8 decades. He was uniquely talented. He had some traits that are very rare in our political landscape today: selflessness, very bold, very knowledgeable, and of course, he had a feel for the people. And then, like the proverbial cat, he had 9 lives. Many a time he was written off, only for him to reinvent himself and come back in a very special and even stronger way. You remember during the time of Moi, when Moi decided to incorporate him into KANU and even made him KANU Sekzen. And many of us wrote him off. We said, he's finished. Only for him to come out and tell us, just as a chinga memeza jogo. And Raila came out stronger. Then, of course, time and time again, he competes against a candidate who loses the presidency, a handshake, but still comes out of the handshake stronger. So, and then we saw Raila, the selfless man, where even in moments where we felt like he had been aggrieved or offended, he put the country ahead of his own interests. So people got to like him. And in a very special way, he actually extended his affection beyond tribe. That is why I think even the people actually expressing grief beyond Luo Nyanza. If you go to the coasts, people are shedding tears. If you go to Kisii land, people are shedding tears. It's like they've lost one of their own. So he's uniquely appreciated, not just within the country, but beyond the continent and even beyond. So that is why the outpouring of grief and support, and even let me say appreciation of his life is like it's unlike anything we've seen before.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a president die and then we see Kenyans wanting to view the body the way we're seeing them want to actually view Raila's body. And I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe it will happen sometimes in the future, but not in our lifetime.
All right, so Wakili, we look at a man who, you look at his decorated career as a politician, and he did a lot, but by no means possible was Raila perfect. Even himself, he said, I am not perfect, I will sleep here and there, but I will always reach out to the other side too. He had his own flaws, but he's one politician who accepted that he was not perfect. He agreed that he would make mistakes and that he was always open to rectify. And you look at the current politicians that we have and what that does to them in terms of accepting responsibility and purposing to do better.
One of the things we have to say about Raila is that when you look at his political journey, he was not a man who would make permanent enemies, as they say, and he was very careful with his use of words and how he addressed people. In the recent past, there is a politician we've seen who uses quite a lot of acidic words when he's trying to address people, and we've not even seen him close to the funeral of Raila because of some of the things he said. Very, very hurtful words, and he would just say things, perhaps he would say them, then later on come to realize, like, wow, what have I said? Because politics is, if you learn from Raila, is like, politics is not a matter of life and death.
I'll just hold you on that point. We'll come back. You continue expounding on the same. But I want us to go to Parliament and touch base with Grace Nyanga, who's getting to us via phone call. Good morning, Grace. What is the latest coming from Parliament, Grace?
Can see the House leadership is standby. William Ruto has just arrived. Remember, as I told you earlier, His Excellency for Prime Minister Raila Odinga is lying in state here in Parliament, but the House leadership was waiting for the arrival of President William Ruto, His Excellency. And as you can see there on your screens, he is here in Parliament buildings from the entrance of the Senate and the House, led by both speakers. That is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, and that of the Senate, Amason Kingi. And also we've seen Martha Koome there as well. They are receiving President William Ruto, who's here in Parliament, accompanied by his spouse, that is Mama Rachel Ruto. And also earlier on, we had seen part of the family of the Odinga family. That was Raila Jr. as well, who's also here in the presence of Parliament buildings. Of course, now this shows you that it is now ready, set and go. What we understand is that as the former Prime Minister lies in the state, members of Parliament, senators, Chief Justice, Cabinet Secretaries are going to view his body, after which the entourage will leave Parliament buildings and head to Nyayo Stadium, where I understand from Chris Cairo, thousands of Kenyans have already thronged there despite this chilly morning weather settled, and they're going to be covering that particular prayer session, a very important service there at the Nyayo Stadium. But what you're seeing live on the screens, as I said, President William Ruto has arrived here at Parliament buildings, accompanied by his spouse, Mama Rachel Ruto. That means all is set. All is ready. They're going to be viewing the body of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, which is lying in state, an opportunity that he missed yesterday as part of the program. He was expected to lie in state yesterday. That did not happen, but he has to be accorded the much respect and given the best send-off. That's why this morning he left Lee Funeral Home very early. I understand at 6 a.m. The body had already left Lee Funeral Home and was here at Parliament buildings waiting for members of Parliament, senators, cabinet secretaries, judges, and also settled to mention part of the opposition coalition of Seen Eugene Wamalo is here. Kalonzo Musyoka, I thought we had seen his car. I'm not sure if it's him, but a section of the opposition members are also here, of course, to bid farewell to a man who has shaped the Kenyan politics for decades. So, Aseto, as I said, security is still based up here. President William Ruto is in Parliament, and we're going to be telling you more from that. But as I said, what we understand is there's going to be a body viewing, and then after that, the entourage will leave Parliament for Nyayo Stadium for a very, very important prayer service. Aseto.
Thank you, Grace, for that update. President William Ruto and Mama Rachel have made their way to Parliament buildings, and they've just gotten inside the precinct, the building there to view the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Before now, the procession will start as they proceed to Nyayo National Stadium for that national funeral service in honor of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Remember, 7 heads of state from different African countries are expected, including other dignitaries who will be part and parcel of that funeral prayer session that will be taking place at the Nyayo National Stadium. Remember, security has been heightened across Nairobi. Parliament is a no-go zone for civilians. Everybody has been asked to go to the Nyayo National Stadium to be part and parcel of these exercises. A little bit later, Kenyans are expected to get an opportunity to view the body, but all that in a coordinated fashion, as had been directed by the chairperson of the funeral committee, that is Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, the professor. Wakili, you're mentioning in terms of politicians learning to play politics and not make it personal.
Yeah, what I was saying is that what we learned from Raila is that he was a man who was a politician. As I said earlier, very charismatic. He would talk, but he would not use acidic words or archaic words against his opponents. He was very courteous in the way he addressed people and the way he said things. But when you look at politicians nowadays, they talk things and you are taken aback like, wow, what did this man or woman just say? So I was watching Kimani Ichung'wah say that, I was in Mombasa sometime, and Odinga went and asked him, what is it with you, with my brother? And he said, there's nothing, I'm just doing my politics because I have to survive. And then Oburu organized a meeting between Kimani and Raila. And when Raila saw Kimani Ichung'wah, the first thing he said is, how are you, my son? I heard everything you said about me. Keep up. What does that teach you about this man? You see, this is a man who does not take things personal. But if he doesn't even take things personal, we as a people who aspire to be in leadership position should learn that we can fight for a cause, but fighting it in a healthy way, fighting it in a right way. Like, you don't have to cause chaos, violence, disruptions all over for you to be able to be heard. You can still be heard in a way that is actually, I'm trying to find the right dictum, actually just doing it in the right way. So what politicians should learn is that let us carry out politics with some form of decorum. Because, you know, today you can say something and words will come back at you very fast. And tomorrow, then what will you do or say?
Yeah, you know, those words come very fast. You remember the Kibra member of parliament and the driver and the things they said and what
they came back to
and where those ended, right?
Yeah.
But on Chari, let's speak in terms of Raila the statesman. What separates a statesman from just a mere politician? What gives Raila that authority of a statesman and not just your regular politician out there? What separates him from the boys, if one would use that word?
Yeah, you know, Achebe tells us that heroes are produced by darkness. In other words, it's only when it's very dark that you can see the stars. So we've had moments in our country when it was so dark and we needed someone to pull our first one to, you know, get us out of the darkness. And for some reason, because of the longevity Raila has had in the political landscape, he has been the one to do that. So in every single moment, he has been able to rise above personal interest, above selfish interest, above the noises of the supporters, and put country above his own self. And I think that is what has elevated him into the pantheon of statesmanship. First, of course, was in 2007, 2008, when he contested for the presidency. I was a student at the University of Nairobi. Actually, I got a fracture in my hand working for Raila. And we believe he won the election.
How did you get the fracture?
Sorry
for another day.
We'll do that. So, Raila was ahead until, of course, Tarakanidhi came, whereby the number of registered voters was smaller than the number of votes reported for Kibaki. And that is how Raila lost the election. So there were so many guys around Raila in the Pentagon at that time who insisted that you don't have to concede because the numbers work in your favor. So at that point, Kenyans were being slaughtered. You know, all these places in the Rift Valley, guys were being displaced. And that is how we got to the problem of IDPs. So discussions began in earnest. Kibaki was quickly sworn into office, of course, under very questionable circumstances. And that is how we got Anand coming in.
To be a midwife in that. But let's go back to the Nyayo National Stadium where Kariuki is with Kenyans who want to express who Raila was to them. Kariuki, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dennis Aseto. Once again, I am still here at the Nyayo Stadium where the state funeral service for the late Raila Odinga is going to be taking place. And as you have put it, that Kenyans are still coming to this stadium ready for the funeral service in honor of Odinga, and the numbers are still increasing as we speak. This is how the stadium is right now. You see that already Kenyans have come in their numbers, but as I had told you earlier, Seto, is that they are yet to be in so many numbers like we witnessed yesterday. Maybe still early, they are going to be here early, and I had told you that they're having a white handkerchief and on the other hand having the Kenyan flag, trying to celebrate a statesman. And of course the stadium is well, security is well beefed up across and in and around the Nyayo Stadium. And here where the dignitaries are going to be spending, or rather they are going to be seated following the proceedings of the service, it is well guarded. You will see that police officers, general service unit already manning the area. They have put up like a wall, a security wall that will see this area guarded in the right manner. And also the area where the family is going to be seated. The family of Raila Odinga is going to be seated is well guarded by security officers, including the National Youth Service personnel that are here in the stadium. And that's the tent that the family is going to be seated, and also the church. Remember, I told you the service will be conducted by the Anglican Church of Kenya. At that tent already the choir of the Saints, that's the ACK Cathedral here in Nairobi, the choir there, All Saints Cathedral, they have already taken their place, and also the military band is ready there to welcome the casket carrying the remains of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Also, we are having the State House choir that is going to be also involved in the service. The State House choir that are done in some kind of uniform, Kenyan uniform. They are going to be also involved in these celebrations. And also the dais, already I can see various leaders have already arrived here at the Nyayo Stadium. I have seen several cabinet secretaries. I have seen the cabinet secretary for mining, that's Hassan Joho, and also the cabinet secretary for defense, Soipan Tuya, and the Attorney General also is already here, as well as I have seen the former Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi is already here, ready for this service. And other leaders who are also present here include Charity Ngilo, I think I've seen her somewhere, and also various members of parliament who have already arrived here. The chairman Nat is also here. That's the Kenya National Union of Teachers. I've already seen him here already in this area. And that dais, as I had told you, will hold also different dignitaries, including presidents of various countries. For now, we have not gotten the list of the presidents that are going to be here in Nyayo Stadium, but of course we know President William Ruto will be around, the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki will be around, and later on, Aseto, there will be an opportunity for Kenyans to continue viewing the body of the late Raila Odinga later on after the service. It was confirmed by the Deputy President, who is also the chair of the organizing committee for the state funeral of the late Raila Odinga. I want to engage a few of Kenyans here to just have a feel of what they have to say about this day, about the funeral service. I want to just talk to one or two people to just hear what they have to say about this day, and maybe I am just here having to hear some of them say something. Thank you very much. This is KTN. You are live on KTN, and you have already come here early in the morning. And what are you looking forward to today?
It's a very sad moment for us, and we are here possibly because of the respect of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, a very selfless man who fought for us, who fought for our democracy, who fought for our new constitution, and a man who made us believe that everything is possible as long as we work together as a nation, as long as we commit ourselves in our nation building, and a man who had Kenya in his heart, amongst everything in his life, and we are here to celebrate his life, and thank God for all the years he gave him, and pray that the Lord will grant him his soul in eternal peace.
Of course, I can see most of the Kenyans are having flags. They are holding flags in their hand. They are trying to flag. They are actually flying the flags high. How would you describe Raila Odinga as a leader in this country?
As a leader, I will describe Raila Odinga as a statesman, a man who loved Kenya, a man who put the interest of the nation above his own interest, and a man who reminded us, in any circumstance, Kenya is bigger than any of us, and I will describe him as a man who loved us. He loved Kenyans, he loved this nation, and he promised us Canaan. And it feels so bad that he has departed without us seeing that Canaan. But we pray that his legacy will live among us, and the spirit that he has left behind shall live within us, and we will live to tell a story of a man that Kenya had, a son of Africa, a man who loved Kenya, a man who loved Africa, and a very nice Pan-Africanist.
Right. Thank you very much for your sentiments, and I also to talk to various other Kenyans who have come here today just to have a feel of what they have to say concerning this day, and I'm going to be talking to some of them. At least I get to hear. Thank you very much. You are live on KTN. Today, Kenyans are joining the rest of the world in mourning a statesman. What's your take today, and what would you say about Kenya as Odinga as a statesman?
Kenya, we have lost.
Start with your name.
My name's Steve Olayo Cheng from Makadara constituency.
The live images coming to you live from our Parliament buildings as the dignitaries, members of Parliament, are viewing the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga that is lying in state in Parliament buildings. A house that is served in from 1992 to 2013, that makes it 21 years of him being in that house, prosecuting various bills and acts of Parliament. They are defending the government at the time when he was the Prime Minister, appearing in that house. Those are the final respects for Raila Odinga, led by President William Ruto. You can see both speakers of the house there, including family members and the dignitaries who are there. Raila Jr. at the back, donning that hat that resembles what would be his grandfather, Mzee Jaramogi Odinga, used to wear. It is at a time and a solemn point in the nation where the country gets to say goodbye, to bid farewell to a gentleman, a statesman who has seen the country change in our eyes. He has been in the fight for multi-party democracy, the freedoms that we enjoy today. You talk about his time as the Prime Minister and the contribution that he gave to this country when he decided to sit at the table and discuss on how to unite the country and move forward despite the challenges that were there at the time. Let us just listen into what is coming in from Parliament.
The loved ones and most of the entire nation. In this period of grief, O Lord, we pray for calmness, soberness, and your peace in our nation. And this morning we pray to guide and strengthen His Excellency, the President of this nation, as he leads the moment of mourning. And Lord God, let your peace reign upon all of us. For this we pray through our Lord and Savior.
We will now progress to the viewing, starting with His Excellency. The rest of us are kindly request to hold our peace as we allow His Excellency to view our
When the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached freedom, I made a stop, but I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Bondo town. Sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to leave a little girl in Bondo town. Sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. live a little garden Bondo town. Down the bay where the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached India, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My hand is down, my head is turning around. I have to live a little garden Bondo town. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to live a little garden Bondo town. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to live a little garden Bondo town. Down the way when the night again and the sun shines daily on the mountain top. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached India, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to live a little garden Bondo town. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is down. I have to live a little garden Bondo town. Hard to say I'm on my way.
Leadership of the two houses.
For many a day. My heart is down, my head is
Ranking members.
Wapite nyuma.
Wasema Sifa zetu Bwana, sifa zetu Bwana, ewe Mungu. Rafiki yangu wewe, katika safari yangu natembea na wewe, pamoja na wewe, pamoja na wewe, katika safari yangu natembea na wewe, pamoja na wewe, pamoja na wewe, katika safari yangu natembea na wewe, pamoja na wewe, mimi heshimiwe, haya ni kutenda shaka, sawa sawa na wewe, pamoja na wewe, pamoja na wewe.
Those are live images coming to you straight from the Parliament buildings as dignitaries, members led by President William Ruto, his family, and the family of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga view the body that is lying in state in Parliament buildings where Raila Odinga served between 1992 and 2013, 21 years, and it is a house that is being taken back to remember state funerals. It has always seen that happen. Raila Odinga lying in state in that house where he engineered bills that became Act of Parliament, a house that he defended rights of Kenyans, pushed for a lot to change in this republic. It is a solemn moment. It is painful to see those images coming from Parliament, but as you can see now, those are Parliament staff and several other leaders who are viewing Raila Odinga's body that is lying in state. Earlier we saw his son Raila Jr. With a whisk wearing what would be his grandfather's Mzee Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's hat as he was conducting the Luo ritual as well there before Winnie Odinga also in a very painful moment giving the dad the final kiss, that peck on the hand. It is a solemn moment, it is sad, it is painful for us even in studio to look at someone who put the country first, person who we've all known to be the father of democracy in the country, and we continue to witness the development in the country. That is Martha Karua that you see, who was Raila Odinga's running mate in 2022, Justin Muturi, governors there and supporters of Raila Odinga, former Cabinet Secretary Interior Fred Matiang'i, who was also in the run-up for presidency, hoping that he would be a presidential candidate, Mohisa Kitui, and many other leaders who were there to give their final respect, the final nod, the final goodbyes to a person that they have worked together with in the political space. Eugene Wamalwa, it will be remembered when Mzee Wamalwa passed on, and how Raila Odinga attended that funeral ceremony. Now he is here saying goodbye to Raila Odinga. It is just how life is. You're never sure of what life will throw at you. Today we say goodbye to a statesman. As you can see, dignitaries have started leaving Parliament, headed towards Nyayo National Stadium for that state funeral, and it is a process, an exercise that is expected to start at exactly 9 a.m. for the next 2 hours. So we have around 20 minutes before that prayer service starts. Gentlemen, we've seen Raila Odinga lying in state in the most raw form there is, and personally, that is not easy to watch.
You go first.
Akili.
Yeah, of course it's a very difficult moment because for those close to Raila and close to this nation, we've seen what he has done, his selflessness. So a person with such a heart and such a character is difficult, and I'm sure quite a number of other individuals in Parliament, the members of Parliament, senators and governors is mentored also in that state. When you look at photos of Senator Sifuna, Abdul Somad,
C.S.
Joho, Millie Odhiambo, they're people who are in grief, mourning, loss of a father, you know, an icon, a mentor. It's not easy. So I think for us as a nation, we've lost. Even for me as a young person and an aspiring a leader, I feel I've lost. But I would say that he may have gone, but the ideals that we've learned from him, we should carry them beyond his life so that his legacy continues through some of us. And for those who are in the current leadership, let them not let us down. Let them ensure that they fight and ensure that whatever is started lives long, even after he's gone. Yes.
And Chari, very sad moment, not only just for the family. You look at leaders who one would say were students of Raila Odinga, including the president himself. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's very tough, and I think when you've been around for the time that Raila has been around in the political landscape of the country, you get to touch every player in the game, and it becomes very easy to actually witness the passing of someone who has the kind of character you don't like. But it's very tough to be part of a process of sending off someone who had the character of Raila. Very compassionate, selfless, and as we've said before, time and time again, he puts the country first. I think we all agree that the elections, presidential elections, where he clearly won. And he had the chance of standing firm and saying, no, you know what, let's fight it out. Bloodshed and whatever, what have you. But he put the country first and said, you know what, it's not that serious. I don't have to be president after all these guys have died, like it happened in 2007. So we expected, because of those of us who were on his side, said, you know what, if it's bloodshed, let it flow. So long as at the end of the day, the right person gets sworn in to office as president. And I think most of the guys who were in leadership of the party at that time, including the current president, were not willing to see Raila, you know, concede and cave in. But then, Raila being Raila, he said, you know what, it's not that serious. I don't want to be president of graves. So he accepted whatever he was given, and the accord that was signed, of course, with the help of the former Secretary of the UN, the late Kofi Annan. So time and time again, it's needed to actually put the country first. And that is why I think it becomes very easy for him to be classified as the quintessential statesman. He was larger than life. But it's also easy to say that whatever accolade, whatever, title has been given has come from his efforts, from his life, from his work. And I don't think he got it easy. At some point, we're told by Shakespeare that some people are born great, others acquire greatness, and yet to others, greatness is just given.
There's one image that I've just watched of Boris Ogeta, Raila Odinga's aide.
Yes.
And that's a breaking image to see,
It is.
Because
breaking.
You remember this is because Raila had just lost his previous aide. And this man came on board, was always in the picture, but now became his personal aide, and he was always there with Raila Odinga. Was there when Raila Odinga was taking that morning walk when he collapsed in that van back to the hospital where he was declared dead. The repatriation of Raila Odinga from Mumbai to Kenya. And when the body touched down in Nairobi, we saw a man with special training. One would say someone who's been hardened by the training that security men go through, but we saw him break down at the airport and not able even to speak. I've just, while in Parliament, I've seen him being assisted to walk, being assisted to walk and even sit, a clear indication of a man who has not just lost a boss, but a friend, a father figure, and someone he believed in and trusted that trusted him with his life. It's like we say, we've seen Raila Odinga. I've seen Raila Odinga in my life throughout, and it's difficult for me even to view that image and agree that he's gone. But they say God has his own plans. But that notwithstanding, as the country moves forward, as the country accepts that their son is gone, moving forward, as politicians will get back to their bases and start championing for the next election, what would a Raila absence mean to them, especially to the people of Nyanza, his backyard?
First, I would start by saying, for someone like Maurice Ogeto, who was Raila's personal aide, you will note that at some point you develop a bond with someone you work with. Raila, being the Raila we know, must have been a soft person to him. A father, of course, their age difference, trusted him with everything, and is a person who has borne the brand of being Raila's aide. At some point, being an aide of Raila's a very busy schedule. It means you always have to leave your family behind as you take care of him and ensure all that happens. I remember when this current regime came into power, at some point he was abducted because for whatever reasons, and thanks to God, he came back alive. So him witnessing all those things, they're quite traumatic. Being with someone you've been with for quite a long time, and then you were there with him during his last moment, it's very heartbreaking, and it's a scar that someone will walk with. Regardless of the level of training, at the end of the day, we are humans, and we are made up of a bunch of emotions, and we have to express our emotions. That is a man in grief, grieving a father, a boss, and a friend. Going into politics, we're going to have tectonic movements in the political landscape. I'll say so because when you look at our politics, Raila has been the constant figure. Two opposing sides. There is one side, if you say Raila is bad, without a manifesto, you will get votes. On the other side, if you say Raila is good, with or without a manifesto, you will get votes. So the the people who are in politics will now have to look at a new dimension of coming up with how they do their politics. We are going to have a lot of shake-ups, but for Luo Nyanza, what I will say is that I know for sure there will definitely come up someone, but that someone will have to ride on Raila's name to tell the people, look, this is what Raila wanted. He never got there, but if you give me this mantle, I'll make sure we get there. Of course, he has to ride on his name. And we've seen that happen in many societies, you know. Even Rigathi Gachagua still keeps on saying, Uhuru is our son, Uhuru was a good person, you know, trying to entice the people using his name. In Luya community, you see people still use the name of Michael Omalo Kijana to get their votes. In somewhere like the coast, we had the Karisa Maithas and whatever, people still invoke their names. And because Raila was this figure that was bigger than all these names have said, someone will still use his name to ride into glory, and now that will define a new moment in the politics of Luo Nyanza and the great, not just Luo Nyanza, the great Western bloc, because the people in Western have always voted in a certain pattern, and that's why they call themselves Mashemeji. Either the person will have to come from Luo Nyanza or from Western, Luya Western, where he will have to invoke that name and then transit beyond the Luya and the Luo voting bloc.
Onchari, as for a very long time, it has been said in the political space that if you want to get a formidable opponent, just oppose Raila. If you want to be on the other side and be sure of perhaps getting voted, just go against Raila. The man is not there. The political space, how do you foresee moving forward?
You know, it's like a forest, of course, whereby a fire just comes and clears all the tall trees, and then you remain with the small ones. And so many things are going to take, they're going to change. And I think that is why even the state was caught unawares. And just like every Kenyan, they're still in a state of shock. A good number of them, of course, in a state of mourning, but mainly shock, because were it not for Raila Odinga, I don't know where President William Ruto's government could be at this time, given what happened in June 2024, with, of course, the funny finance bill. So Raila came in and cushioned him. He actually gave some lifeline to his government. It's a move that was, of course, viewed by many as selfish. But then again, that was Raila saying, instead of the government collapsing, you know, the best person who could have taken advantage of that and snatched the government away from William is Raila. He said, no, we had an election, I lost. I may have lost in some funny way, but it's okay. Let's have this government going on, let's support it. Whatever changes you guys want can be achieved in a peaceful way. So he didn't take advantage of William's what? Vulnerability. That is why I see it. Again, that is Raila who is selfless. And in his absence, the idea of, for example, mobilizing Mulima voters against Raila disappears. So you have to identify a new enemy. You have to look for ideas that people can buy. Saying Raila, Kemodo and all that now, it's not going to fly, unfortunately. And for Western politics, things change completely. We are not going to have another Raila, someone who can go and command a following in Kisii, Luo Nyanza, and Luya Nyanza. It's not going to happen. Whether you're going to mention Raila's name or someone else's name, it's not going to happen ever. So that group, the coalition he had created, which was, of course, countrywide, collapses. Actually, today, that goes with him. So as of now, the discussion that is coming up is a figure that can commandeer the tribal vote alone. Because Raila has made steps over a period of 8 years. I think he defied his father And he began moving in his own direction. He was like 25 years old. And like I was saying before, he worked for his influence. He worked for his fame. After the death of his father, you remember, I'm even told the dad didn't want him to actually take leadership of Ford Kenya Party. He pushed and forced his way. He said, you know what, in as much as Mzee might not have wanted me to lead the party, I think I've what it takes. There was a fight at Thika Stadium between him and between his followers and those ones of the late Omalwa. So he has worked for his colors. He has worked for his tribes. He has earned them in as much as he was born with Odinga name, which was a big, space, and he was able to actually grow beyond that. So he began by leading the community first, and then he went beyond and now became a statesman, a national leader. Raila got a following at the coast. He got a following in Western Kenya. He got a following in Kisiland. He went to Northeastern. He commanded a following. If you go to Kambani, where Musyoka is the kingpin, you find people who admire Raila immensely.
They trust Raila even more than Kalonzo.
Yes. So he became a national leader, admired all over. So that is someone you cannot replace. I will tell you today, we've not had a president with that kind of admiration from all over this country. We've not had. It was not Kenyatta, no. Kibaki, no. Moi, no. Uhuru, no. Uhuru got close because Uhuru is likable. Ruto, no. So Raila is in a place of his own. He's in a class of his own. So Luanya's politics, that is where it starts. I'm not saying there's not going to be a leader who can be listened to the community. It will happen. And of course, Raila did not hold anyone's hand and say, in case I'm not here, it's so and so, because I don't think he believed in that. So, and in these communities, that is Kisi Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, and some parts of Western, apart from the Mumia, where the Nabongos, of course, had that kind of kingship, whereby it was from father to son. It's about personal space. You fight for yourself. As a strong leader, you emerge. So that's why kushika mtu mkwana aseme, in case I'm not here, it's going to be so and so.
And that's where the crack of the matters arise from, because Wakili, there are talks out there that Raila has done his bit. He's been in this space for 40 years. He's pushed for a lot of changes that we have, but that he failed at one thing: mentoring someone, bringing someone to Kenyans and tell Kenyans, this is the person who will take after me. People look at that as Raila Odinga's failure. Is it?
It's not a failure, because Raila being Raila and being a leader, he understood one thing: you cannot be given, you have to fight. What if I give person A and he does not fulfill my aspirations? So leader, I'll start by saying that power abhors a vacuum. There can never be a vacuum. Raila, as rightly put by my friend here, fought his way up, despite having the advantage of the name Odinga. You can see that his father started mentoring him when he was 6 years. They would work together, but he took a different path from his father. What I believe in leadership is that leadership cannot be given to you. You have to fight it. For you to come out as a good leader, you must first of all be sharpened like iron. You must go through the trenches. You must be blessed. It must be baptism by fire, so that when you get there, you understand the meaning of being there. Because some people are, like you'll even see maybe in the Bible, some people are given leadership of kingships, and they were never like their fathers. They destroyed the whole thing. Even just, you'll just see maybe even here in our country, someone's father was an MCA, and people voted for that person because the father was an MCA, and they just got there and they do total rubbish. So people should not start blaming the late Raila that he did not mentor people. He has mentored a lot of people. We have the likes of Sifuna, we have the likes of Babu, we know the likes of Eddie Okech. We have a lot of young people that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo mentored. So it is upon them to fight for the space. You fight for it. Where I come from, Luya say that leadership is not given. It is fought for. You fight for it because if I believe in a cause, let me fight for it. Raila believed in a cause, he fought for it. We've seen, like, in very many meetings when Sifuna talks, he talks and says, those were the principles that Baba believed in. So, if you're saying he never mentored anyone, then what is Sifuna doing? What is Babu Wino doing? What is Okechi doing?
Onchari, was Baba too nice a person that he allowed, if it's power, to escape him, that when he had an opportunity to be the president of the country, he said, let me think of the country first and not myself. That when he was in detention, fighting for being suspected of the coup, that even when he got out, he never held a grudge against former President Moi. Instead, you see him come out, continues to push for multi-party democracy, joins KANU, becomes the Secretary General, and even then when they broke ranks, they left. But after President Moi's retirement, they would still talk and have a conversation. You know, extrapolate that to Kibaki Tosha, gets to power, becomes a prime minister. They break ranks while as prime minister goes his own way. 2007 happens. It is said he won the election, had the chance to say, this is mine and I will claim it, but he decides the country is larger than Raila Odinga, let's sit and discuss. Go to 2013. Who won that election? Went to Supreme Court. You know, go to 2017. The court rules in his favor, says pretty much says the elections were not held in accordance with the law. Let's go back. He says no. Later sits with Uhuru Kenyatta, agree on a handshake. 2022, another election. We saw what happened. But at the time when the country was about to burn due to the protests that we saw, he then again says, I know we have our differences, but let's sit and talk and save the country. Was Raila too nice for a politician?
I think, you know, we're affected by the environment in which we grow.
Yeah.
And it starts from the family. And Raila was very close to the dad. Of course, as the first vice president of this country, and Raila was very good in history. That is why sometimes he'd get hold of a microphone and give the history of the country like a history teacher, despite being an engineer. So he understood the ways of men. He understood the ways of his family. When Kenyatta was in detention, way back in 1963, actually before that, and there was a conversation about the colonial masters giving leadership to black Africans. The initial discussion was about Jaramogi Oginga Odinga being made president.
Yeah.
And it said, oh, you know what? If that has to happen, the first condition is to have Kenyatta done what? Released. And then the conversation developed to a point where he said, you know what? It's not me to be president. It's this guy here. So again, you can see where the selflessness comes from. So it's an issue of like father, like son. So that is the time, I think, when he gets to read about that, he gets to learn that it's not that serious. And leadership is not necessarily about a title. Okay? So every single time an opportunity came for him to have to do some extreme things to be crowned as president, he felt it was not necessary. And one thing I've gotten to learn by talking to people who've been very close to Raila is that in cases where he has gotten some titles, like in 2005, when he disagreed with Kibaki, because before that, the Kibaki Tosha came with some kind of promise. To become president, you make me an executive prime minister, which Kibaki accepted. Of course, when Kibaki got to office, he surrounded himself with a bunch of very selfish guys, and the agreement was discarded. And of course, that is when we went to the referendum, and he defeated the government, Chungwa and Easy. That was the genesis of ODM. And every single time, the people around him are the ones who pushed him into taking some tough positions that led to some rewards. Raila himself is not someone who fights for what he believes to be vain. When it gets to, for example, bloodshed, he does not like, he never liked that. So he was ahead of his time. To him, it was not that serious. The kind of attitude you see in most Western European civilizations or democracies is what Raila had. If you lose, it's fine. It's not a matter of life and death. But then, on the other side, is a group of politicians who think that life starts and ends with political leadership. So that is why, in the next few months, maybe years, Kenyans will yearn for a voice like Raila's, and it will not be there because it's been silenced by time and death. They'll miss him. I'm glad so many of them appreciated him in his lifetime when he was breathing, so they'll not have to regret. But Raila has been the voice this country has needed for so long a time. It's because of Raila that we're able to actually go online and abuse whoever we want, freedom of speech. It's because of Raila, which of course again was reversed yesterday or the day before yesterday by a president who seems to be working against himself.
Another fight is about to begin.
Yes, because whatever is signed into law is draconian. And something will happen. Of course, it will be implemented. A few kids will be arrested, and they'll be back in the streets. Raila will not be there to ask for dialogue, unfortunately.
I mean, those are like images that you're seeing right there of the parliament buildings as everything is being readied to ferry Raila's remains to the Nyayo National Stadium for that funeral mass or service that will be taking place there. Remember, we have information that 7 heads of state expected, among them Tanzanian President Mama Samia Suluhu, Rwanda President Paul Kagame, Uganda President Yoweri Museveni, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, also former President of Nigeria, and Raila Odinga's close ally Olusegun Obasanjo are all expected to be present. We're here to get information on what head of state is present, but we shall be getting that information momentarily. But as you can see on your screen, those are both sides are parliament buildings as the military is taking charge of transporting the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And on your right, that is the Nyayo National Stadium, and you can confirm that Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja are on the grounds there, a clear indication that they're there to receive the dignitaries who would be arriving momentarily any time from now. Remember that our crew are stationed across different spots in the country, in Kisumu, in Bondo, at Parliament buildings, at Nyayo National Stadium. And we are bringing you this live commentary, just remembering who Raila was, what this loss means for the country, especially the political class moving forward. But Wakili, you look at Raila Odinga and the family. There was a time when Fidel, the late Fidel, was seen as the person who would take the mantle from Raila Odinga. Fidel passed on. Then we had his eldest daughter as well, who at the time was seen to be the one who would actually run for Kibra seat, but she fell ill. But now we have Winnie. And you look at Winnie Odinga's relationship with the father, and even if you just go through the Luo culture and how close she was with the father, she remains as a figure in the political space that one would say cannot be wished away or assumed. Are we seeing a reincarnation of Odinga? Because we know Winnie and her tough stance and even how she speaks. Is it too early to call it, or do we see her now, like we've said, it is never given. She has to chart her way forward and find a space?
One, I would say it is too early. Two, again, I can say we cannot wish her away, because they say that the apple never falls far away from the tree. You understand? It may not be Winnie, but Mother Nature has a way of selecting. But one thing I know is that maybe where I come from, in our culture, we believe that once a leader of a certain stature or magnitude has been produced, his bloodline will still have such a leader. It may not be today, tomorrow, but definitely it will come to pass. As we look right now, maybe I'll say Raila, the man, the family man, in my own personal view is he was a good family man, because you would say he kept his family together, close. He was not a scandalous man. He might have had his own faults, maybe, but he was not publicly a scandalous man. So maybe looking at it the way it is, any of his children can become. We would see Rosemary was a bit unwell, but disability does not mean it's inability. Mtoto wa Simba bado ni Simba. Yeah?
Hata kinyeshewa
bado ni mtoto wa Simba. So we also need to say that time will tell. And sometimes it's funny that some people will shun away from the path that their parents took. Some will shun. Because looking at it clearly, I've not seen any of Raila's son come out, strongly and openly and publicly and trying to do the things his father did. Save for, we've seen during this last protest, we used to see Winnie accompany his father, during Maandamano and all those things. I hope she continues, because she has what it takes. And I hope she fights harder to get it. But if she doesn't, definitely one way or the other, one day something will happen. Look at Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. He died how many years ago?
Yeah.
Uhuru Kenyatta became president how many years later? So that's why I'm telling you, Mother Nature has a way of selecting. It will happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, but definitely it will. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are live images coming to you. As you can see, that is Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, as dignitaries continue to stream in together with that is Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. You can see dignitaries all seated, members of parliament, as they wait for that funeral ceremony to start anytime from now at the parliament buildings. We are waiting for that procession to start as well. Now, on Chari, we have said a lot about the man Raila Odinga. Now, you look at how things have changed in the political space, including now one, Johnson Sakaja and his seat in Nairobi, and one would say the lifeline that is there both for President William Ruto and Johnson Sakaja is because of the maneuvering that Raila did and the conversations that they had. Here we are, one would argue that the two men have been left exposed.
That is definitely beyond question, especially for, I know the president is very calculative, not necessarily very cunning. He's alert, he has foresight, and most likely he's running some calculations as plans for 2027.
Yeah, I'll come back to you on Chari in a few, but let's touch base with Grace Ganga, who is at the Parliament buildings. Good morning, Grace. We left as dignitaries that started leaving and the body was being prepared to leave for the Nyayo National Stadium. What's the latest, Grace?
A settled morning, and rightfully said there, but just to note is that it has been a very somber morning for the members of parliament, the members of parliament, senators, and also some representatives from the government, as they were viewing the body of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Right now, we are still waiting for I hear they're in a closed meeting with the president, as the body is being prepared to be ushered in. And if the cameraman can just zoom in, what you're seeing now is that the body, so that is the leadership of the church in front, as they're making their way into the carriage that is going to be carrying the body of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and take him to Nyayo National Stadium, where the service is going to be taking place. I hope you can see those shots there from a cameraman. Like I said, that is the leadership of the church, followed by the the casket that is donned in the Kenyan flag that has been taken to the carriage that is going to be heading to Nyayo National Stadium. What we understand as Seto is that once the service is done from the Nyayo National Stadium, Raila Odinga's body will be lying, he will be taken to Karen, his home in Karen, where he's going to be spending the night there before tomorrow morning he's flown to his home in Bondo County, ahead of the burial slated for this coming Sunday. As I said, the ceremony from Parliament is over, and now the body is going to be taken to the carriage there, right here outside Parliament building. It's a somber mood here in Parliament. As I said, members of Parliament who have been his body.
Yes, those are live images coming to you from the Parliament buildings as that procession has started with the military officers taking charge, carrying the casket to the carriage that will ferry the remains of Raila Odinga to the Nyayo National Stadium, where the funeral service will be taking place. Those are live images, and as rightfully put by Grace Nganga, it is. Yes, Grace, if you can hear me, we see that the procession has started. Our military officers are loading the remains of Raila Odinga on top of the carriage. We expect these to make its way to the Nyayo National Stadium, right?
Yes, I said so, but it's a bit noisy here because there's a helicopter that has been making rounds, just ensuring that security is top-notch here outside Parliament. The rightfully said there, the body of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga right now is being lifted from to the carriage that is going to be carrying his body from here, Parliament building, all the way to the Nyayo National Stadium. Live pictures there coming your way here from Parliament. Slowly, carefully, the body is being lifted. That is the body of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, meaning that it is ready now. The ceremony is about to start as we head to the Nyayo National Stadium, where our crew, Daniel Karaoke and Chris Tyro, are standby. And of course, I know that many Kenyans have thronged to that particular stadium in anticipation for this very important ceremony. It is a prayer service for the fallen giant that will be remembered by many. As I said, after the service, what we understand is that he's going to be taken to his current home, where I have to shout because the helicopter is lower. So I have to shout at Seto, hoping that you can hear me. But his body will be taken to Karen, where he will spend the night in his current home, and then in the morning he will be airlifted to Bondo, Siaya County. I think I'm going to leave it up to you because the noise here is too loud.
That is what we call journalism 101, the things we go through to give you the latest update. Those are the things that we go through. Let's just listen into exactly what is happening.
Asante NCPB kwaya, naomba tafadhali tuwapishe DCI kwaya wakati ambapo tunasubiri kuanza rasmi kwa ibada ya wafu ya aliyekuwa waziri mkuu wa nchi hii marehemu Raila Amolo Odinga. Naomba tafadhali wananchi ambao tumefika kuja kutoa heshima zetu za mwisho kwa aliyekuwa kiongozi wetu tuweze kuchukua viti vyetu na kuketi ili tuweze kufuatilia hafla hii vilivyo. DCI kwaya, naomba tafadhali mtupe wimbo mmoja.
Tutaona